and welcome to today's special Agent Secrets Live presentation. We've got a special guest with us today, Mr. George Moorhead, all the way out from Bellevue, Washington. How are you doing today, George?
I am good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you. And we've known each other a long time. I know quite a bit about your business, but why don't you tell our audience more about yourself and what motivated you to pursue this career path in real estate?
Gosh, that's a great question. So let's see here. I was in the fire service, and I knew that after being in for a few years, that I needed something that was not going to be physically demanding, but yeah, would still piggyback off of my knowledge because I did
Mhm.
build homes, things like that. So started into real estate, dealing with banks and foreclosures, which evolved into a career. So I've been practicing now for 33 years.
Wow. I didn't know that you were in the fire service. That's news to me.
Yep, yep. Retired firefighter by trade, command officer.
But you were also building homes, and
I
that
do build homes as
was,
a hobby.
yep.
Yep. Actually, we have two going right now, and for clients, and it's an expensive hobby, but still a hobby, and it's fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, that will segue nicely into our topic for today, and that is building a strong referral network. Now, one of the primary reasons I asked George to be on this call today is because he's doing something that I know a lot of agents are failing at, and that is really capitalizing on their network and generating more referral business. As you know, George, a lot of agents spend tons of money on leads, lead generation. They focus on collecting leads. They do their best to follow up on those leads. But still, I often hear that the majority of their business is coming from referrals. Now, why do you think that more agents are not focusing on this source of lead and putting the attention needed into that?
Okay. Well, that's because they're transactional agents.
Okay, say more about that.
So a transactional agent meaning that they will do a transaction and then move on instead
Mm.
of fostering instead of fostering that relationship. So every client that we work with. So if my average commission, let's say, is $20,000, okay, every client that I work with is worth $100,000 to me with over the next 12 to 18 months. And when you change your mindset that, hey, uh, if you ask every single time, you meet with somebody, you do a showing, and once you're under contract, once you close, how am I doing? Is there anything I can be doing better? You ask that consistently. That's the simplest and basic elements of a referral. When you ask for that referral, okay, if you say, hey, Christy, um, what other first time home buyers like yourself that that are looking for a home right now, and that evolves into other business because the point in which they are the most agreeable to introducing you to others, and that's what I call it, introductions instead of referrals. Referrals are pretty strong. Introductions is at that point. So at the very least, you're losing your next transaction because they're not asking. They're transactional. They're done. They move on, and they're constantly looking for the new business instead of what's right in front of them.
I, I think that a lot of agents look at their sphere of influence as past clients and
Mm,
not lifetime customers.
correct. I would agree with that. And the other funny thing is, and it's not uncommon with the people that we kind of help around us. And that is, they're like, oh, well, I don't know what to say. What would I say to them? And I laugh, and it evolves into, it's like, hey, there's two simple things you can do. That means you could touch them every 2 weeks, and it's no different than probably what you're already doing. So that's 2 touches a month at a basic. You could do one video market update, just one. Super simple. Use Screencast-O-Matic or Spring Bells or a free screen thing and just do a market update based with your MLS on the screen. That's one. 2 weeks later, send out a newsletter. I recommend print it. Pick a select number of people first if you want. But even if you email it, that's 2 touches a month. So that means every 2 weeks, they're getting touched. And that's another great way to put yourself in front. And by doing that and by offering information like in a newsletter, hey, here are things to do to work on your house for this month. And then you can take and say, hey, here's what we're doing good. Don't be selling to them. Use reciprocity as a process of generating your referral business and not having to ask. Using reciprocity is a much stronger desire for somebody to refer or introduce people to you. That's just 2 touches. That is doesn't cost you anything. Super cheap, super easy. That's 2 touches a month.
Right. And you do that with a specific segment of your database, correct?
Oh, yeah. And that's just the basic. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can start with that today, right?
Right.
Perfect time of year to start that one. Merry Christmas, right?
Reciprocity is definitely something to keep in mind. So the theme of your content, what you're sharing with people, is designed to either educate them, perhaps introduce them to a service or a business that could also help them,
Yes.
and then maybe to share some success stories. Do you do much of that as far as when
We
you're putting together your content?
we do on occasion.
Hmm.
Most of the time we keep sales somewhat private.
Yeah.
And that personally has worked out well because people appreciate that, especially if there's a tight niche group, demographic group that you work within. They don't sometimes like that out there, but at times, I think you probably nailed the biggest thing, which takes the selling element out of it all the way. There's no selling at all when you are sincerely helping somebody, when you are providing them information, when you're offering to help people that they know. And I'm not saying, hey, who do you know that is looking at buying or selling? That's not it. Helping them as in, pick once a quarter, and say, hey, listen, we're on the hunt to help somebody that that either A, needs help in a certain area, or B, would like to buy a home where we can donate our commission to that, and we'll get the loan officer to pitch in theirs, and we'll let the seller know that this is what we're doing, and see if we can get them to provide some additional dollars. Let's help them get into a home that normally they would never be able to get into, but we can make it happen this way. And if you want to build reciprocity, that is without a doubt one of the greatest ways to do it. And I guarantee you the agent on the other side is going to be, every single one of them said, how can you do that? How can you do that? And it's like, my response is, how can you not do that? Right. And it's just one of those things that is a way that then other people know that you are giving back, other than, like, Children's Hospital or whatever else you're doing. It is massive. Right.
Right.
Then take it to where and have a little bit of fun with it. You can take your videos with your vendors, right? And I know that's where you're going next, right?
Yeah.
Take the people that you work with, take your roofer, take your mortgage lender, take escrow, take a financial planner, take an estate planning attorney. And if you don't know them, get to know them. It's easy. I can call Christy and say, hey, Christy. Oh, actually, I did. Remember? Christy, we're looking for a mechanical engineer. Who do you
Yeah.
know
You were
that's
looking for
10
someone
out
in
of 10?
Toronto. Yep.
That's right. See, true story, right? Now, granted, it's
That's
out of my
correct.
area, but I helped a client because
Right.
of that. But anyway, and you do that introduction. So then what do? Like our heating guy. And this is super fun. You want to have fun? This is super fun. You give one of your clients a call and say, hey, listen, have you had your furnace service delayed? And they're going to go, no. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I want to come out to your garage. Is your garage halfway clean? Can I get into it? And they're like, well, yeah, okay. So then I bring my furnace guy out and we do a video. Okay. You can do it on your phone. It's super fun. It's super easy. So hang on a second. So I just took my vendor that I want to also have business referred to me from him or
Of
her.
course.
I just went to my client's house. They just got a free furnace service. We then offer something online and then we publish it out. Now I have reciprocity. Plus, I already know that we're driving people to my contractor vendor site. He's already got 8 business calls to come out and service their furnace. So he won, my client won, I'm a winner, and that will refer me business. Now, what did that cost?
Your time, your time, and
That's
just
it.
the effort to make that connection and get that vendor out there. I love that. I think that's
Exactly.
brilliant.
Exactly. And so it's by doing that, it again, the power of reciprocity is amazing. So, and it's free.
Now, how do you vet your vendors? Is there a process that you go through to make sure that
There,
you're connecting to the right people?
there is actually, and sometimes it's a single party vet. So I would, much like I did with you, and if you think back, this is exactly what I said. I say, hey, Christy, we're looking for a mechanical engineer, and we're looking for somebody who's on a scale of 1 to 10. They're a 10 plus plus. Who do you know that would be a great engineer for us to refer our client to?
Hmm.
Now, if you don't know of somebody, you're going to tell me. And you say, hey, you know what? I need to talk to my husband. And of
Hmm.
course, that introduction was done, or however that ended up. I'm not sure on that one.
Right.
However, that's how I get introduced to people. Whether it's look, here's a classic example. So I was introduced to an attorney named Jennifer Miller, and she was a divorce attorney, or is a divorce attorney.
Hmm.
And in fact, I wanted to do a video, right? Divorce and selling your home. And so I asked a couple of people. They said to her, and I said, "Hey, listen," to Justin. I said, "Justin, would you tell Jennifer? Would you call her and let her know I'm going to call her at 4 o'clock and tell her I am somebody that she wants to talk to?" And he's like, okay, yeah, do that. So at 4 o'clock, I called and she took my call and we chatted. And I told her that I had some clients, unfortunately, that were looking at getting divorced. But I also wanted to do, like, hey, what are the top 3 things somebody who's considering getting divorced needs to do while considering real estate? And of course, immediately she says, "Oh my God, I love you already." And so we did this video, and we keep that element private. We share that within our group. That's not one that's on my channel. Some
Hmm.
I do and some I don't, but that's how we will meet that. But guess what's super funny? You see, by doing the video and breaking up into 3 segments, she sees it, she can syndicate it, she can send it out as a Q&A because it was done as a Q&A, right? As her
Right.
being interviewed, okay, by an unknown person. And then I also send her a gift, or not a gift, but a client.
Hmm.
She in turn said, hey, I've got 2 different clients that I need you to talk to. One is a $4 million seller. Oh, darn. And another one's a $2.5 million seller, in our area. And darn. And of course, there was no selling, right? That came as a strong referral. I did not have to compete with anybody else. And so that made that one super awesome. So what do we do in turn? Again, we continue that reciprocity and you keep that relationship rolling, and then you use them as a resource. Uh, by doing that, that's how we get our vendors, and that's how we are able to get referrals from vendors. And whether it's a roofing contractor, whether it's your septic pumping company, an attorney, a financial planner, we can send you a list
Right.
of people that we recommend, but that is what we do. Then create a very simple page, success website, right? You can create a page of vendors with a login and put in there, hey, here are the 3 conditions a vendor needs to have. You need to be able to give the best pricing. That doesn't mean you work for free. You give the best pricing to be on this list. You have to communicate with them. And if anything that they are unhappy with, you need to fix it regardless of cost. You meet those 3 requirements and we'll be golden. And everybody knows that is repeat business. Everybody on that list knows. And they also know that if I'm calling and say, hey, I need to talk to you about so-and-so, they know that there's something they need to fix and immediately it gets done. Your client then is super happy. Uh, I just got
Mm,
called, hey, uh, do you have a fencing contractor? Absolutely. Send them over. They're like, oh my gosh, they're actually going to be out next week for us. Yeah, that's great. You know,
right.
so it's the big circle, but again, it doesn't cost you anything.
And how important is it for you to manage those quality introductions rather than just sending somebody over to that vendor? Are you facilitating that introduction in a way that gives you a little bit more control over
It
that
gives you a lot
process?
more control. You see,
Mm,
it's the power of a relationship.
mm,
And you only want to spend it. It's like brushing your teeth, right? You only brush the teeth that you want to keep, right? You only spend time with the vendor that you want to continue getting business from. It's as simple as that. You
right.
talked about, a schedule. So we break down each of the people in our database as far as whether they're a client or a vendor of frequency of the level that they refer us. The people that refer us more business or have a higher probability of referring business, we spend more time with. Versus somebody who might, referred me to one person a year, I'll still spend time with them, but not as much as somebody who proactively refers me out. Okay.
So it's like
And
a power partner
right,
relationship where,
sure, sure. There's all kinds of names for them, but absolutely. And you spend time with, the people that are more proactive about it. So understand, every person every single statistically proven, every person through the process of a year is going to know somebody who either wants to buy or sell. So it's your opportunity to be the person of mind when that introduction happens. Are you top of mind when they hear somebody's going to move, right?
right.
And it's just one of those things.
Now, how do you typically make that introduction? Is it something that is done in person? Do you prefer to have a shared phone call? Do you have a method for making those
Is there a method to the
introductions?
madness?
Is there?
Uh, yeah. So many times, everybody gets it's funny. So on our newsletter is a QR code, and they can go there. And in some of our emails that we send out, it will have the Bentley Contractors.com, right? So
Right.
yes, they can go there. And the purpose of having the hey, fill this out, get 10% off, and it sends us an email too, so we get that notification. A lot of times, and what I prefer is that they actually reach out to me, and I do a text introduction. And
Right.
you know, whenever we send it, we always say, flattering words. Hey, this is one of our best clients. Please make sure you take care of them. If you have any questions, please give me a call. And the other person, hey, they're going to do that. And hey, as they get ready to button up the job, let me know. I'm going to come out. I want to take a look at it. And I want to make sure these guys are still giving you that top level service that they're known for. Right. It puts the vendor on alert that, hey, I'm following up, and
Yeah,
lets the client know that, hey, I'm being taken care of. Okay. I'm getting that customer service, that extra mile service. And it's super simple. Right. And your
that's right.
vendors actually prefer it because if there's a miscommunication, like we had one with a roofing contractor, and yeah, Maria got a little up in arms, but they were texting
Mm,
and there was, it was the communication was lost. 10 minutes sitting at a meeting, she was giving me a hug. He's shaking my hand saying, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, dude, pick up the phone.
right.
That would have resolved it, right? But you're the hero because you're taking care of the client. The client's super happy now. She's getting, she got her roof done. And, I know that she's selling in March. And guess what? I don't have to compete against that.
That's right. You get some good quality face time with the customer.
That's
You're
right.
proving to the vendor that you are proactively following up and checking on them. And I think that's such an important
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
this.
It is, but the most critical element, and for a lot of agents, because we were talking about, the number of agents not getting paid right now, or, reduced, income by agents. This is all free.
Mm,
This is free.
yes.
You spend
Yes.
1 hour a day, 5 days a week, just setting up and fostering this kind of thing. Just 1 hour. You can do amazing things. Okay.
Well, what factors most influence your decision to refer a business? And actually, let me frame this by saying, I know that you often refer your customers to businesses. Do you refer other businesses to other businesses as
Mm-hmm.
well?
Absolutely.
And what influences your decision to do that?
Fulfilling the promise that
Right.
we are the go-to people to help. It's
Mm,
funny that you asked this, because this was on a call yesterday with Chris. Right, that's Chris in the back. He's on my team. He's
right.
he's sitting at throwing one of those.
Thanks, Chris.
Once a once a once a year, send out a bound. Right, it's cheap to do
Mm,
a bound report, updating the value to your client. Right,
okay.
mail it and
This
then
goes
follow
out,
up
sorry, this is once a year you're sending this out?
once a year. Once a year,
Okay.
do that on the anniversary
Hmm.
date to let them know where they're at. Send an anniversary card. Send direct, happens automatically, right? It's cost you $1.
Mm.
So,
Worth it.
uh,
Worth it, I would say.
hands down, right? Anniversary card. I send an anniversary card, and they get that as a separate mailer, with a handwritten note, right? Just to let them know where they're at. You want to talk about getting, top of mind for repeat business. That's a great one.
Mm.
No, just yesterday, we had a call from a CPA that was one of the three, and we normally keep groups of three. They said, "Hey, you know what? I'm looking at selling my business. I want to retire, and I've approached a couple of people, and I think I'll just shut the business down because nobody is interested in my database." I said, "I'm out. Do you mind if I make a couple of calls?" They're like, "No, that's fine." So I did. I called a couple of other CPAs that I know, and I said, "Hey, listen, you're interested in this? This is what he's going to retire. He's got a book of business. You're looking at, growing your business and whatnot." And guess what? We had two takers. Boom.
Right.
Same day, gave him a call back and said, "Hey, here are these two people. They're going to give you a call. They're going to call you. One's at 3 o'clock and one's at 5 o'clock. They've committed to giving you a call. Here's their contact information. I hope things work out for you. Let me know if you have any questions." Right. Okay. Hey, different question. If you knew somebody was looking at buying or selling a home, who would be the first person you'd recommend? Is it obviously you? I said,
Right.
perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, look at how effectively you connected those two and were able to step in and help.
Right.
It
But just the
it
just
is
the offer of help, and as long as it's sincere, right?
right.
Not that 6 months down the road you return a phone call and say, "Oh yeah, do you remember that?" Oh, yeah. Anyway, no,
That's right.
it's got to be sincere. And look, they're not expecting you to send land speed records, But if you can legitimately, sincerely offer them help, that builds reciprocity. So yes.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the emotional trigger, I think, that is really what's behind word of mouth recommendations. If you're going to recommend somebody to a friend or a family member, it's because you found them to be trustworthy, helpful, they did their job well. I think those are probably the top three things that would lead to
Well,
that type of recommendation.
what people sometimes don't remember or don't know is that the average person knows 3 to 5 real estate brokers. So the
Right.
question is, who are they going to choose? Well, funny enough, 68% of sellers will and buyers will actually go with the recommendation of one of their friends.
Yes.
So if you are that recommendation and then you go in on a professional level,
Yes.
there you go. And the presentation on a referral has to be 2x of somebody that you've never met, because the standard is higher. It's not less, it's higher, right?
Right.
So
So when you say 2x, what do you mean by that? Like you have to perform 2x or
you
the
have, well, yeah, because here's the
or the
thing.
value
You,
or the value of that lead is 2x.
well, actually both. Actually, the value of that lead is 5x,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
if
would
I
say.
win
Yeah.
that business, there's 4 more transactions behind them that I'm going after, right?
Okay. Right.
And I'll get 1 or 2 within the first 12 to 18 months, guaranteed, guaranteed, because of the follow up, and whatnot. So
Right. Right.
the the 2x, meaning that you see, you're not just presenting on behalf of yourself, right? You're now
Mm,
presenting, and your game has to be on spot on target, because it's a direct reflection on the person who just referred you.
right.
And if you look bad in their eyes, now you've made that person look bad because they
Right.
recommended you. So if you're not spending the time, DPPO 20, some people might remember that, database, presentations, funnels, right? Presentation. You need to be practicing your presentation an hour every single day, 5 days a week. Why? As Chris would be able to tell you, you have to be able to give that presentation without any material in front of you. Or as I
Yes.
like to say, the words you choose are directly proportional to your paycheck.
Well, that's absolutely true. And as any sales professional would teach, the way you state your offers, the way that you communicate is extremely important. But you're also walking into that appointment with a level of trust that would not be there
That's
had you
correct.
not had that initial recommendation.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And
Mhm.
and I think one of the the key things to remember, because it is that trust that you're coming in with, that's why it's 2x. That's because it's not just you.
Yeah, you've upped the ante a bit there. Yeah, it's true.
Well, if you bomb it and they go back to them and say, "Oh my God, that guy that you referred, what a dingleberry, what a clod," do you think he's going to refer you again? Of course not.
Well, yeah, and also it's so important that you make sure, yeah, you put your best foot forward. Absolutely. Not that you wouldn't on any other type of appointment, but as you said, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing the person who made that initial connection. And I think that's what people are fearful of when they're making referrals or referring other businesses. They're
Mhm.
worried that they're going to refer a business that's going to drop the ball, or they're worried that they're going to refer a business and the person's going to have a bad experience. I think that's what keeps a lot of people from doing it.
Yes, that's why I call them introductions
Right,
and not referrals. Uh,
right,
and I think, and it's important that when you're meeting with your community, I call mine my community because that's what it is, right?
right.
My community is very tight, and
Hmm.
because I know that a referral carries a very strong thing. Like some people would say, "Hey, do you know somebody?" I said, "Well, I don't know anybody that I would put my name behind as far as a referral, like a moving company, right? The transitional worst. I've never heard anybody have a good experience with the mover. And I said, look, here are some companies that clients have used, and
Mm,
they said, hey, on the whole, they did the least amount of damage, right? And ha ha ha. But I differentiate with my clients, on that, right? And so that I
right.
think is important.
Well, I
But
think there's definitely a big opportunity out there for moving companies to step up their game.
yeah, but I don't mean it in a bad way, but look at who they hire. And that's another thing
Mm,
when you talk about, and let's circle back to that one, vendors. Vendors get 2 chances. One chance
mm,
to come in, and if you make a mistake, I know, hey, we all have issues, but if it happens a second time, you're off my list, and
right.
that's it. And then I'll be on the hunt for a new one. And my clients, I follow up and say, how'd it go? And if they,
Yeah,
well, well, hang on a second, let me make a phone call and I'll call the vendor and get the other side and say, okay, well, they're not happy about X. I need you to take care of that.
that's right.
That's
That's
right.
right.
And
And that
they
and that
do.
and of course, then that tells you something about the vendor as
That's
well.
right.
That's important information to have.
Right. But the end result, the message at the end of the day, Christy, that's the nut. That's the nugget that just got polished. And that is
Mm,
you're just doing a quick follow-up. The client knows that you were taken care of, right?
yeah,
And then you ask the question, much like the question that, hey, if you knew if somebody was looking at making a move in the next 12 months, who would you recommend? Right? No, instead, you say, hey, who else do you know that could really benefit from this vendor? Because
right,
now I want to do an introduction to a vendor to somebody they know. Oh, wait a
right.
second. Did I just get introduced to somebody? That's
Yeah,
correct. Because now I do the introduction to the vendor, to that person. Now I go talk to that person. Now I start creating a relationship. Why? Doesn't take much. It doesn't fall into, my 150 people Dunbar's rule of how many people you can manage. They now
mm,
sit down maybe as a B type of referral person that once a quarter they're going to get some information. Or I'll ask, hey, do you mind if you would you like to receive my monthly, market update that also gives you 5 things to do and gives you access to all of these vendors. There's no cost, there's no benefit. It's 100% benefit to you. Sure, that would be great. Now I've got somebody who percolates on the backside. And I have
right,
received, in fact, we were just laughing about it yesterday with Chris. I have received business from people I have never done business with, ever.
right. How and where did those connections come from?
Just exactly like I said. We'll have a vendor that will do a great job for somebody. I'll say, hey, who else do you know that needs to have their furnace service, that needs to have a new appliance replaced, to have a kitchen remodel, have a roof replaced, whatever it is.
Hmm.
And now I've just met somebody in their group.
Oh, that needs the vendor's service. So you're
Correct.
so you're meeting them that way through that
Right.
avenue.
So I'm helping to feed a vendor. If I feed
Hmm.
that vendor is going to want to feed me through reciprocity. But I've also now
Mm,
met somebody in this person's group that I can now, cultivate through time, depending on how long they've been in their home. And I'll ask them the question, after they have a success with the vendor, I'll just ask them, hey, it's absolute fact. Were you 100% satisfied here? Did everything go okay? And they're like, great. Okay, so different question. Uh, if you knew if somebody was looking at making a move, whether buying or selling, who would be the first real estate agent you would recommend?
right.
And there's only 3 answers. And it's either you, or I don't know, or it's so and so. That's it. That's the only
Yeah,
3 options.
right.
Okay. And there's answers to each one of those. So you can decide, hey, is this somebody that I can percolate for future business? Why? Because during the year, they will know somebody who wants to make a move, buy or sell. And you
Of
just
course.
made them happy. I never did business with them, but now I've provided a service. So now they come back to say, hey, here they are. Give them access to your vendor services. And now you have somebody else to foster, right?
Now, do you add them to your database as a community member, and
Only
they now get
no, no,
no?
because I carry, yeah, see, so that's really funny. So my community is people that I physically call, right?
Okay,
I will have them in my database as somebody who will receive a market update, that will receive, the newsletter. And if we have a special vendor benefit or a seasonal time of year, to do a service or something like that, they'll be on part of that. So
right.
they will get a communication at least once a month, but not a personal phone call, not a personal, hey, we're going to get together and do something collectively, things like that. That will be a different list.
Those are people that you've already established
Hmm.
a professional relationship with. You've worked with them on a real estate transaction. Is that correct?
Yes, those are the people I tend to stay. That's who I focus as far as my community and we're getting more business from. Now,
Gotcha.
if, however, let's say we take Sally. Sally, I have never ever done business with Sally, ever.
Okay.
She's been in my database for 10 years, but she is on my list of people that I do call
Mm.
because she refers 2 people a year to me. I,
Is
and you
she
know,
a
it's
business owner, or
no,
she's just
nope.
a
She was just
resident in the
yeah,
community?
she was out at an open house that I did, and she just
Okay.
liked chatting with me and what we and how we did things. And we've chatted about, hey, is it a good time for you to sell your home? And we've looked at it and what, nope, it doesn't make sense for what she wants to do. And she appreciated the honesty, and so she proactively sends me business. And I have never once done business with her ever.
Right. But you communicate with her regularly, and she
Yes,
obviously appreciates that.
I send her that basket of goodies and 2 bottles of wine whenever she sends me a referral.
That's very nice. Now,
Mm.
as far as the source of your referrals, I know that you refer a lot of people to various businesses. Where do you get most of your referrals? So you mentioned Sally, who is someone who's part of your community, who obviously connected with you and likes what you do. Are there other businesses or vendors that give you a steady stream of referrals?
On the vendor side, not as much as my community does. I get a referral
Right.
every single week.
Okay.
That's which is kind of funny to say that one. But yeah, I get a referral every single week, and at varying stages of buying or selling process. And vendors, I get. I would say with each vendor, sometimes one a year, sometimes 2 a
Mm,
year.
okay.
But understand the purpose of the vendors is to get additional business, but the purpose of the vendor is to attract and maintain a solid referral business so that you're top of mind. That's
Right. Right.
it's just another great way to get in front of the people that you already do business with. Everybody on this call right now can call a heating guy that you work with or that you may know and say, hey, listen, um, I want to say that you're going to do furnace servicing, and what do you normally charge? Well, it's $185. Great. So for $150, everybody can get a furnace service. Are you okay with that? Goal is to get you five or 10 jobs. I'm going to send that out just as a, hey, it's winter and your furnace is under stress. Can you do that? Sure. So you're going to send that out as an email to all the people that are in your database or that that you do business with, and say, hey, we just negotiated a group discount. This is the code, this is the person. Give them a call direct, or feel free to reach out to me, and I'll text you as contact if that's even easier. And only service your furnace for the people that you love,
Right.
because
Well, I think you said something to me once too that stuck in my memory, and that was when you are sending out your monthly newsletter and you're recommending these businesses, you invite the recipient to contact you to
yes,
get connected to that business. And I thought that was very smart because now you are interacting with that person in your community. So that's a touch that's very meaningful. And then you're also demonstrating to your vendor that you are actively referring somebody to them, because it can get lost very easily when
yep,
you're taken out of that introduction process.
you can, or you don't follow up. Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a great way. And people say, well, I don't know what to say. Well, you just did. There you go.
yeah,
Once a month, you're telling me once a month you can't come up with something to do on your house? Furnace service, clean my gutters, demoss my roof. Does somebody need a paint job? What kind of landscape
right.
cleanup do you need for spring? Yeah, I mean, look, there's all different kinds of seasonal things that you can use as a great segue to touch people that you haven't touched base with for a while. And it's super simple, and people appreciate it, right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the examples that you mentioned to me is you had somebody contact you from your newsletter
Mhm.
saying, "Yes, I do need my gutters cleaned. Please send me his information. Oh, and by the way, my neighbor is thinking of moving, would you be able to, give them a call? Right.
Right.
So,
Right. And they do. They
yeah.
will. And the funny thing is that, as you guys are going down, right? There you go. Just got one right there. Don't know if you can see it.
It's a bit blurry. That's okay. We don't need the details,
Hey,
but
buddy,
we
I
believe
need to.
you.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Joe's looking for cabinets. He wants to go ahead and remodel his kitchen. Do you know of a cabinet company or installer that he can contact?
Right.
Nope. Of course I do. Hey, why are you
Yeah,
why are you updating your kitchen, Joe?
that's right. Yeah. You
Shockingly
need a
enough, a lot of
painter. You need a painter to come in and put a fresh coat of paint in as well.
right. So you do the connections, right? And as I tell them, I
Yeah,
said, hey, listen, because I build homes and I have contacts with all of my vendors, you get my pricing, you just pay them direct. I'll do the introduction. I just guarantee that the work is going to be done to your satisfaction within reason, right?
that's right.
And that's how we do it. More than likely, Joe's going to get things set up, and there's probably a 50-50 chance that he is going to sell his house. You might say, well, why? Well, because what you didn't see on the second part is he's actually considering selling his home and trying to get it updated since it's super dated.
Right.
So I'm going to
Right.
go in and say, let me give you tips on what to do, but more importantly, what not to do, or how to get $1.50 for every buck you put in your house. Are you interested in that? Doesn't cost you anything. And we'll introduce you to those vendors and we'll help schedule that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great way to
And
to
it,
get in front of these people and be top of mind. Absolutely.
but then what is your competition after that?
Right.
If somebody else is chirping in their ear as an agent, they haven't been doing what you're doing. And
No.
people, for the most part, within reason, right, are loyal to that. And you build that reciprocity, build that loyalty. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a process for sure, and it takes consistency. And I know that you're very consistent when it comes to how you communicate with your community. Can you walk us through what that schedule looks like? The people on this webinar, they want the
He's laughing
details.
back there.
They want the deets.
it's
They
it's
need
a
a plan.
well, actually, funny enough, you do need a plan. Did you get a plan today? Was it an extensive plan? It is. Oh, it's a web of things, he says.
A web.
So funny enough,
There you
he
go.
got a seller follow up, our flow chart of what we do.
Right.
Because unless you have a plan, you're not going to ever be consistent with it.
It's hard to
So
execute when you don't have a plan. Absolutely.
100%. So simple enough to do time blocking, right? Set time on your calendar every single week. Mine happens to be on Mondays and Wednesdays and a Thursday, and I'll spend time block anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, but the sole purpose of touching base with my community. And
Right.
if I opened up my to-do list, you would see that today I have 10 people that I touch base with that are part of my referral business. Just 10. It's
Right.
not this big, massive list. And you break it up. So I have my weekly list and I just make it part of my fun phone calls, right? I will send, something, you know, as a value to them, whether it's
Right.
something that they can use or a vendor, just saying, hey, what do they need? Things like that. Or as I part every phone call, hey, Christy, is there any one thing I can do for you today that would be helpful?
Right. Well, that's pretty awesome. That's individual follow-up. But you also have a campaign,
I
I'm
do.
sure,
I
right?
do. Oh, yes.
For
Two.
right.
One for
Tell us a little bit
clients
about
and
that. Yeah.
yeah, so one for my community and one for people that are just outside of that are just people that we stay in touch with for future business or potential business, things like that. So yes, and it is very systematized. It doesn't take much. Just
Mm,
start off with grading your contacts. Even if you just make it an A, B, or C, right?
Yeah.
You know, how do you do that? And you might say, well, oh, I have all of these A's. Are you sure? Did you ask the
Right.
question? You know, if you knew if somebody was looking at buying or selling, who would be the first person you'd recommend? If it's
Right.
not you, you need to ask, well, who is it? And then can I be a backup, right? And if it is
Yep.
you, great. Educate them on what you offer and the introduction, what to say, right? Your B's, you know, and then of course your C's. So the answer is yes. You have to have a system, and they have to have that reoccurring in your database as far as coming to the top when you talk to them again.
Of course. So segmenting your database. So you've
Right.
got the
And
three groups.
yeah, to buy forgiveness, send a market update. Send a video market update so they see you. Send
Right.
your newsletter, whether it's printed, you know. Do one off here. One of the things that I think is absolutely hilarious.
Mm,
You want to have fun? I do this
yeah.
all the time. So there's a couple of sites. I actually wrote them down. Timeanddate.com, dayoftheyear.com, and nationaltoday.com. And you might say, okay, George, what the hell? Okay, so
Right.
at least once a month. So now understand, now I'm adding a third touch along with all of the other touches, right? That are kind of fun. So people are hearing from you all the time, but on different things. You're not once are you selling, not once.
Right.
Once are you selling. Okay. So I wrote a couple of them down. Like last year, I did National Pirates Day. So I left a slide broadcast, you know, I mighty, you know, anyway, did my best pirate thing. That was pick a winner day. It's National Pick Your Nose Day. It's a true day. It's
I'm
fun.
sure.
National Lost Sock Day. It's an actual day. There's
Hmm.
365 of them, just to let you know. And you know what? You can do a slide broadcast. You can do a text message. You can send out an email. You can have a little bit of fun with it. Some wild, obscure National Fly Fishing Day. Said, hey, I'm out
Right.
fly fishing today, and it's National Fly Fishing Day. So if you actually want to join me, here's where I'm going to be at.
Well, how important is that to you to this seems like a silly question because you are all personality. So I know that it is important for you to share that with your audience, but I think it's so important to share your interests, share your passions, share your sense of humor. Some people call it authenticity, but it does resonate with your audience
It
and it
well,
makes you
remember, an
unforgettable.
introduction is personal.
Yes.
And unless you're sharing something, you know, personal about you and what you're doing, uh, then what is it, right? Now that
Yeah. Well,
doesn't mean
you can be your commodity, right? And you're easily
right.
forgotten.
Sure,
Right.
absolutely. But you know, the nut of it is that you have to maintain that professional element. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's why I never send recipe cards. I never send recipe cards. I don't know. I always say, you know, did your doctor or your attorney or CPA, did your financial planner ever send you that? Did they ever send you a
Right.
recipe card? And they're like, no. Why would I? Be
Mm.
a professional, but have a little bit of fun with it. Being a
Hmm.
professional, meaning referring, you know, vendors and whatnot, and you know, doing that follow up. People will like you because
Yes.
of who you are. That doesn't mean you have to be best friends, pals, you Ozzy. That's impossible.
Right.
Okay, that
Yeah. You
is
don't have to be sharing what you're having for breakfast.
absolutely not.
That's
You know,
not necessary.
don't send me a video of you working at the gym.
Right.
MGS. MGS stands for micro give a shits, right? They just want to know what's going to benefit them. How is it going to help them, right?
Yes.
And when that is your consistent message is, hey, who can we help? How can you help? Um, I don't have one here. I was going to here.
You're gonna throw
Uh,
another newsletter into the mix here. And...
well, we sent out a card, a handwritten card. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I know that you do a
recommend.
lot of those. Right.
I do.
Yes.
Okay, and there you go. Right.
Yep.
Uh, Handwritten cards. Every person gets in my community gets a handwritten card written by somebody whose name is Patrick, who's autistic, and that's what he does. And it is freakish how he writes, and everybody thinks it's a font, and it's not. It's real.
Yeah.
One, the fact that they know that he is writing it, that it is a handwritten note, And in that, guaranteed it, and in fact, if I have I don't have one here. It says, hey, as we're coming up on the holiday season, and it is that time of year where we need to also think about, because we want to help others. Who do you know that we can help, that we can give a dinner to, that we can help deliver Secret Santa gifts? And I tell them, look, I do not want to be known. In fact, if you're the person that knows them, I'd rather you kind of do it, but let's do it discreet. Let's, and you know what is super funny is I will make that request to my 150 people, which is
Yeah.
Dunbar's rule, right?
Yeah.
And I have already received 30 responses back saying, when you find somebody, let me know, we want to help.
Right. Right.
How much reciprocity did that one legitimate, sincere card provide you? Because then that is a story that we will tell. Hey, we helped, 4 families, and this, I don't mention names, we just helped 4 families. We gave these things away. Super awesome, super cool. Plus, we did X, right?
Yeah.
And I thank everybody for that. Yeah.
It's so memorable. It really is. Tell us a little bit about how you use your worthy cause. How do you integrate that into your referral strategy?
Um, Anytime I receive a referral, I write in there, I say, hey, it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much. It's absolutely awesome, because I do a reply all. And I bring it in, and like, hey, Sean, he referred one of his coworkers, and I said, hey, Sean, thank you. There's no greater honor than the introduction. I guarantee you they're going to receive the same, amazing 5-star, service that you received. But remember,
Hmm.
the check is now being delivered to Seattle Children's Hospital Strong Program. So you are now helping a child fight cancer. You just are
Right.
helping a child, save a child's life. We thank you, and they thank you. That goes in that. It does
Right.
sit in our worthy cause is a side to our newsletter, but it has
Yeah.
nothing. There's no selling in it. In fact, in our newsletter, there's never any selling, ever. It's a
Right.
market update. It's a worthy cause. Here are some a fun investment. This is hilarious. The fun investment of the month, and there's 3 of them. And it's just, they're just, funny enough, they're just well priced. Hey, here's a really good investment to look at. And I
Mm.
guarantee you, we trigger 3 or 4 sales off of that alone every single year. Guaranteed.
Hmm.
We have
Hmm.
we did 4 this year, and we still have 4 people still on the hunt. In fact, Chris helped with 2 of them. You did Kennedy, and as far as the investments. Oh yeah, the window one. Yeah, so he did just 2 of
Yeah.
them alone, right?
But
So
this isn't I mean, this is not a boilerplate newsletter. You're
well,
putting
I mean,
together
yes
this
and no.
content every month.
Yeah, once you create, all 12 months, the hey, what you need to do with your house maintenance thing, that doesn't change. You just kind of change it up a little bit, ensure
Right.
that the vendors, you have the QR code to say, hey, ask for this vendor, and that introduction is done. Um, the super cool part is when you go by, and the kid pulls his dad aside, and he's like, Dad, he's like, yeah, that's the famous guy on the newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which was funny, right?
definitely.
And
Elevates your
so,
brand. Elevates your
yeah,
brand big time.
yeah, but that's super simple, right? It's super simple,
Yeah, you're right. It's a template. You make the adjustments every month. You have the
right?
ingredients. You just need to change it up a little bit so it's fresh every month. That's
That's
all.
correct. And even if you go, there's a lot, whether it's a VA or Fiverr, or, hire the college kid that wants to do something, for a couple hours a month, just for some extra cash or whatnot, that's in a
Right.
design class or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Even handwritten cards. People are like, oh, I couldn't do that. I don't write handwritten cards. I have this. You could pay the neighborhood person who's got good handwriting, to
Yeah.
write handwritten cards for you, and accomplish the same goal. But note, the card is not a business card. There's
Mm.
no Bentley properties, right? They're blank.
Right. Right.
Okay. I order 1,000 at a time. because, it's not like you send, a birthday card to your mom saying, hey, great from Bentley Properties, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
This
So
has
it's
been
got to be
super
personal.
helpful. Yeah, I know, and I want to be respectful of your time because I know that you have to race off to an appointment. I'm going to ask Rob, who is also on the webinar here, to share some links in the chat. One is actually a special survey that we've put together for all of our attendees today. We know that you all struggle with this type of system, and I think George has helped us tremendously by walking us through some of the things that he does on a day-to-day basis. But we want to help you as well and get you thinking about how you too can expand your referral network and really start benefiting from that. So I'm going to ask Rob to put into the chat a link to a short survey that we put together for you. Really quick, up free, obviously, but what it's going to do is it's going to get you to start to think about different ways that you should be approaching this and how you can improve your activities to get more referrals from your community, from your lifetime clients, and connect to businesses that are going to also leverage your brand, your status in the community, right? I know that status isn't the goal here. As George said, the goal is to help and to build on that reciprocity. But by doing that, you do elevate your brand and you do elevate your status in the community, which is not a bad thing. So,
It's
couple
organic.
questions.
Yep.
Okay, no, sir, you go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. You've got
No,
a
no, no.
thought.
It's organic. That's the best part.
Yeah,
It's organic.
it is, but you are doing things to make it happen, right?
It is purposeful,
Yes.
but it grows organically because people people like to help others, right? Like Chris,
Yes.
he met with an off-market seller, and one of the questions that he asked, he says, are you interested? No, I'm not interested. Do you know if any of your neighbors are? Because our client Ash really wants to be in this community. Have you heard that any of your other neighbors are looking at selling? And could you do an introduction to them so that Ash could consider their home? And
Right.
they will actually help you.
It's the way that you phrased it. The
That's
way
right.
that you delivered that is so key, right? So I hope everyone is paying very close attention to the way that George just said that, because I think that's where a lot of people um, they're reluctant to ask. They think that it's going to come across in a
Salesy.
way, in a light that they don't want to be. I get that, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? It's all in the words that we use and that we choose when we're communicating these things. There was a quick question from Russ, who's very loyal to these calls. Thank you, Russ. We appreciate you. He's asking, what were the 3 things that you have your vendors agree to do? You had mentioned something that you always sort of ask your vendors or ask of your vendors when you first
They have
connect
to
with
commit to
them.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
They have to give them best pricing. And I tell them, I
Okay.
say, listen, that doesn't mean you have to work for free, but understand that you're going to get more consistent business. This is not business that you need to go and attract. You're not paying for it. So we ask for best pricing. Next one, they have to communicate. They have to, follow up. If I get a call that, hey, I'm not hearing from so and so, that's bad. That's a check mark against you right off the bat. You have to communicate. Third commitment, they have to make the client happy regardless of cost, whatever it is. If the client's not happy, within reason, they have to go out. And if there is a problem, you come to me first. I should not hear from the client. You come to me first to let me know what the issue is, and let's see what the workaround is.
Right.
So
So
those are
set
the
those
3 things.
expectations. Yeah.
Yep,
Best
yep,
price, responsiveness. If there's a
yep,
problem, they're gonna be on top of it. Absolutely.
yep. Some people ask, do you take money? Do you get a kickback? Absolutely not. I
Mm,
pondered the idea of getting money, hey, you spend $100 and get on my list. And I thought, no, I want the liberty. I want the ability to say it, bye-bye. And I tell them
right.
that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
That's interesting because that definitely plays into a lot of these arrangements is the kickbacks. And that's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to make that decision and how that affects your decisions when it comes to
Right,
working with people.
right. I have a
Absolutely.
lot more authority. I have a lot more leverage when, I know for a fact, you know, there's nothing coming back. And I've had clients say, hey, are you kicking anything back to George? And they'll say, no, in fact, it is pretty much explicit. If they say, hey, do you want a kickback? I'm not going to work with you. That's not
Right.
what I'm interested in. I want customer service.
Right.
That is what I want. I want top notch 10 plus customer service follow through because they're a direct reflection on me. And if I can get great customer service, I have a client for life right here. And I can get introductions or referrals. I can get that from them because that was a successful relationship. That is more important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
George, how can people get in touch with you if they have any questions? I feel like we're making a connection here between you and everyone on this webinar. If they visit your website, I
Just
do
jump into
recommend you take a look at
you can
georgemoorhead.com.
post my email address. That's fine.
Okay. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. It's great to see you. Great chatting with you. And we look
As always.
forward to all of the exciting things you're going to do in 2025. Thanks to
Gonna be
everyone.
gonna be a great year.
It will. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Please take a look at that survey link at successwebsite.com/survey. It's strictly on referrals. We're just trying to get information and help you as best we can. So please take a moment to do that. And we will see you in the new year. We're going to take a couple of weeks off, but we look forward to
That must
seeing
be
you in
nice.
January. Yes, it will be nice. Absolutely.
All right. Merry
All
Christmas to
right.
everybody. Happy New
Yes.
Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Take care, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.